Welcome back to The Learner. Yeah, that's you listening to another deep dive. I am so excited for this one.
Oh, it's a really good one today.
Right, because, usually when you look at a stunning photo of an outdoor wedding online, there's this expectation of just spontaneous magic.
Yeah, like nature just perfectly aligned for this one couple.
Exactly. You see the gentle breeze catching the veil or the pristine beach stretching out behind them. The golden hour light is hitting just right, and it feels entirely effortless.
It's deeply romantic. I mean, we love that narrative, right? That love transcends everything, including municipal zoning laws.
Right.
We want to believe you can just walk out into this beautiful ancient forest, declare your commitment, and the universe just simply accommodates you.
But then you step into the actual physical logistics of event planning,
Yeah.
and you realize that effortless magic is, well, it's entirely a mirage.
Oh, completely.
Behind that perfectly framed shot of the couple on the cliffside is a backstage reality that is heavily regulated by, like, clipboards, city council meetings, and insurance policies.
Yeah, heavy paperwork behind the poetry, basically.
Which is our mission today. We are unpacking the completely unglamorous but absolutely vital logistics of planning an outdoor destination or park wedding.
And we have some amazing data to back this up.
We really do. We're pulling from some incredibly detailed source materials today. If you spend any time in the business and logistics sections of planning platforms like Weddizer, for instance.
Oh, Weddizer's a fantastic for this.
Right. Their business section is gold. Or if you read through the niche guidance articles from industry veterans like masterstevemind, you start to see a completely different side of the wedding industry.
You really do. It changes your whole perspective.
So, whether you are actively in the trenches planning an event right now, or maybe you're playing amateur coordinator for a stressed-out friend.
Good luck to you if you are.
Seriously. Or even if you're just a curious learner fascinated by the hidden mechanics behind those flawless event photos you see online, this deep dive is your shortcut to mastering those logistics.
Because it really is a brilliant case study in how our most private, intimate milestones intersect with heavily guarded public infrastructure.
Okay, let's unpack this. Why does a dream outdoor wedding so quickly become an absolute legal nightmare if you don't have the right paperwork?
Well,
That's because I think a lot of people assume that if a space is, public, it just means it belongs to everyone so you can just use it.
yeah, that is the most common and honestly the most dangerous misconception.
Really?
Yeah. Public spaces are, by definition, shared ecosystems.
Right.
They are engineered for continuous transient flow.
Okay.
You've got people walking their dogs, tourists taking photos, locals just going for a jog. When you host a wedding, you are temporarily stopping that flow. You are essentially building a pop-up infrastructure.
Right. So treating a public park like a private venue without authorization. It's essentially like walking into a crowded restaurant, ignoring the hostess, and setting up your own picnic right on top of someone else's table.
Yes, exactly. You are hijacking a shared ecosystem.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And it's like building a beautiful mansion on a sinkhole,
No.
It might look great for a minute, but disaster is totally inevitable.
That is a great way to put it. And what's fascinating here is that permits aren't just this bureaucratic red tape meant to annoy people.
They feel like it, though.
They do, but they're actually tools for municipal harmony. They ensure your private milestone doesn't negatively impact the public space or the local environment.
So it's actual infrastructure management.
Precisely. If they don't know you're bringing 50 cars to a tiny beach parking lot, they can't manage the resulting traffic gridlock.
Which could block, like, an ambulance from reaching a local resident.
Exactly. And the penalties for ignoring this are immediate. You aren't just looking at a retroactive fine in the mail a month later.
Right.
Operating without authorization means park rangers and local police have the authority to pull the plug on the spot.
Oh, man. Imagine getting halfway through your vows and a city official with a bullhorn just shuts down the entire gathering.
It happens way more often than people think, and it completely shatters the experience, which is why you have to understand exactly what kind of footprint your event is leaving.
Because different footprints require different types of permission.
Oh, exactly.
So let's break down those footprints. The Weddizer Logistics Guides outline 5 major categories of permits. Let's look at the first layer. I'm guessing this starts with simply claiming the ground you want to stand on?
Yeah, the foundational layer is the location permit.
Okay.
This is required for basic access. Public parks, beaches, botanical gardens, heritage sites. It grants you the exclusive right to use specific coordinates for a set window of time.
But just reserving the space is just like drawing a circle on a map. What happens when we start putting things inside that circle, like chairs, arches, and maybe a massive tent?
Right, well, that triggers the next layer, which is the event permit.
Ah,
And this is dictated by scale. A couple eloping with an officiant and 2 witnesses is one thing. But if you have 80 guests, catering stations, and a 60-foot tent, you are fundamentally altering the environment.
wait, walk me through the tent aspect. Why does the city care if I put up a canvas roof for like 6 hours? It's temporary.
Well, it seems temporary above ground, but think about what's happening below ground.
Okay.
A commercial wedding tent isn't held down by little plastic camping pegs. It requires driving massive steel stakes deep into the earth.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. If you do that blindly in a public park, you could easily rupture hidden municipal water lines or sever underground electrical cables.
I literally never even thought about underground utilities.
Most people don't.
Mm.
Or consider the environmental side. Heavy foot traffic and tent installations cause severe soil compaction.
Right.
In historic parks, that compaction can actually crush the fragile root systems of ancient protected trees. So the event permit ensures a structural engineer or park official has reviewed your exact layout to confirm you aren't going to inadvertently kill a 300-year-old oak tree.
That is wild. Okay, so the location permit gives you the space. The event permit regulates what you physically build on it. What about the sensory footprint?
Ah, the noise.
Yeah, because if I have the ground secured, I still don't own the airwaves. If we bring in a 10-piece brass band, that sound is going to travel.
Which brings us to the noise permit. And this one is highly location dependent.
Because of how sound moves.
Exactly. Sound dynamics outdoors are incredibly complex. If your venue is near a lake, for example, acoustic waves travel across water with virtually no resistance.
Oh, right.
So a bass drop at your reception might sound reasonable to you, but it could literally be rattling the windows of a residential neighborhood 2 miles across the bay.
Or disrupting the local ecosystem. I'd imagine blasting dance music in a nature reserve at night completely throws off nocturnal wildlife.
Oh, it disorients nesting birds, it disrupts hunting patterns for predators. So local governments use noise permits to establish strict decibel limits and hard curfews to mitigate that sensory pollution.
Makes sense. Okay, so we've managed the physical and the sensory impacts. Let's talk about the liability side, specifically alcohol.
Right, the alcohol permit or a temporary liquor license. If you are serving alcohol in a public space, the municipality is taking on an inherent risk.
Sure.
This permit legally shifts the liability from the city back to the event host or the licensed catering company. It also just ensures you're adhering to public consumption laws, which, they vary drastically from one county to the next.
Yeah, that one makes logical sense to me. But I have to push back on the final category mentioned in these guides, the photography or filming permit.
I knew you were going to bring this up.
Well, wait, a photography permit. If I'm already paying for a location permit, why on earth do I need separate permission just to have a professional take pictures of the event I am already authorized to host?
I know, it feels like a double charge.
It really does.
But you have to look at it through the lens of commercial activity. The city isn't regulating your uncle taking photos from his seat with an iPhone.
Okay.
They are regulating the commercial footprint of a professional media crew.
So it's about the gear.
It's the gear and the behavior. Professional shoots often involve heavy C-stands, huge light reflectors, maybe drone operators, and multiple assistants moving aggressively to get the shot.
I've seen that.
And they tend to block public pathways, they ask bystanders to move out of the frame, and generally command the space in a way that disrupts the public's right of way. The photography permit regulates that specific commercial behavior.
Okay, that completely changes my perspective. It's not about the photo itself. It's about the disruption caused by the production of the photo.
Exactly.
So knowing all this, we have these 5 major permit categories. But how do you actually acquire them without getting swallowed whole by local government bureaucracy?
It takes patience.
Because looking at the timeline recommended in the Weddizer logistics articles, they say you need to start this process 3 to 6 months before the wedding date. What takes half a year?
Well, you have to look inside the bureaucratic black box.
Okay.
When you submit your application, it doesn't just sit on one person's desk, it gets circulated.
Oh, to different departments.
Right. The transportation department might need to cross-reference your date with a local marathon to ensure the roads aren't totally gridlocked.
Well,
The fire marshal needs to review your tent blueprints to ensure the emergency exits are mathematically sufficient for your guest count. The parks department needs to check the seasonal wildlife schedules.
it's essentially a massive multi-department audit of your single day.
Exactly. Which is why gathering all the required documents feels very much like applying for a commercial mortgage.
It really does sound like a mortgage. I mean, it's just so much paperwork.
You need to provide government identification, hyper-specific timelines down to the minute the first vendor arrives, scale-drawn layout
That
plans,
is.
detailed lists of every vendor's business license, and hefty certificates of liability insurance.
This is why those business planning sections on Weddizer stress having a rock-solid system. You can't just manage this on a sticky note or like a casual spreadsheet.
No, not at all.
You need a centralized hub for all these documents. If the fire marshal asks for a revised floor plan, you need to know exactly where that is and when it was submitted.
It requires meticulous project management. Because while you are waiting for these approvals, you also have to negotiate their restrictions.
What do you mean?
Well, they might come back and say you are approved, but your setup time is slashed from 4 hours to 2, or your guest capacity is capped at 50 instead of 80.
Oh, man.
You need time to adjust your actual event to fit their legal parameters.
Okay, let's push this framework into the deep end. Because navigating this in your own hometown, where you at least speak the language and understand the general culture, is one thing.
Yeah, that's the easy version.
Right. But the guides highlight two scenarios that are arguably the most complex wildcards in the industry: destination weddings and park weddings.
Oh, yes, the big ones.
Let's start with destinations. Say I want to get married at a historic villa in Tuscany or on a protected beach in Mexico.
International destination weddings introduce an entirely new dimension of legal complexity. You are no longer just dealing with permits, you are dealing with foreign sovereignty, international law, and diplomatic paperwork.
Yeah, I was reading on masterstevemind that some countries have strict residency requirements.
They do.
Like you can't just fly in on a Thursday, get legally married on a Saturday, and fly home. They require you to physically reside in the country for a certain number of days before you can even file the paperwork to request a permit.
Yes, and that paperwork often has to be officially translated, notarized, and sometimes authenticated with an apostille stamp by your home government before the foreign entity will even look at it.
Which raises a huge logistical question for me.
Okay.
So, if I want to get married in a foreign country, do I have to bring all my own vendors? Or is it better to hire locals? Because my instinct would be to bring my own people from home, my own photographer, my own planner people I know and trust. Can I just fly them out with me?
That is a massive risk, and it touches on something a lot of couples overlook. Yeah. International labor laws and work visas. Your photographer might be a tourist when they get on the plane, but the moment they start taking photos for money in a foreign country, they are a commercial entity performing labor.
Oh, so if they don't have a valid local work permit,
The local authorities can shut down your event, fine your vendors, or even confiscate their equipment.
confiscate it.
Yeah. Imagine trying to fly a commercial drone to get aerial shots over a European heritage site without the proper civil aviation clearance. Your drone is gone, and you are facing a massive fine.
Wow.
This is why the absolute golden rule for destination weddings is hiring a specialized local planner.
Because they act as your legal and cultural translator.
Nicely. A local planner already has the municipal relationships. They know which specific venues require which obscure permits, and they have a vetted roster of local vendors who are legally authorized to work in that jurisdiction.
So they navigate the hidden pitfalls so you don't have to. That is a brilliant insight. You aren't just paying for their aesthetic eye. You are paying for their legal jurisdiction knowledge.
Absolutely.
Now, what about the other wild card? Public parks. Because they seem so accessible. You just walk in, right?
Well, they are accessible, which makes them incredibly popular, but they operate under some of the most rigid environmental protections in the world.
And the booking systems can be brutal. From what I understand, some of the most scenic national or state parks operate on a rolling reservation system that opens exactly 1 year in advance,
Oh, yeah.
and spots vanish in seconds. Or worse, they are strictly first come, first served.
It's highly competitive. And once you actually secure the permit, you have to completely adapt your vision to their ecological mandates. You are a guest in a living habitat.
So all the traditional wedding staples are out the window.
Most of them, yes. You cannot use traditional confetti, rice, or even certain types of non-native flower petals.
Because of the seeds.